Alright, so in this lesson what we're going to do is talk about how to get Houdini volumes over to Maya. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start with an existing Houdini volume that we've already made. So I'm just going to open up our project settings and then we'll just do VDB setup and we'll just take that and open that up. Cool, so inside of the VDB, inside of the volume we'll need to first just make sure that we're using a VDB. So we're going to export this as a .vdb format. If you're using a standard Houdini volume, what you can just do is do tab convert VDB and then just plug that in. And you'll notice you have a convert to, so we're converting to volume, meaning a Houdini volume. We're going to want the VDB option. For this specific setup, we don't actually need that because it's already a VDB, but I'll just leave that there anyway. And then what we'll do is ROP output, ROP geometry output. And go ahead and plug that in. We'll rename this to our test to Maya. And the way this works is the ROP output name right here is going to be seen with this $OS variable. So we got our hip name, which is what we're going to have here, $OS, which is what we have here, and then the frame number. We're going to change this .bgo.sc to .vdb. Just like that. And then what we'll do is save to disk. We'll let that cache out and then we'll jump over to Maya. So to set up with Maya, we're going to set up two different ways. We're going to do it with Redshift and Arnold. So first off, I'll just set up with Arnold. So we'll go to the Arnold tab. If you don't have this Arnold loaded, just make sure you jump into your settings preferences, go to plugin manager, and then just do a search for MTOA, which stands for Maya to Arnold, and just go ahead and make sure that's loaded. Cool. So I'll just make sure that we have our Arnold plugin in our render settings being used right there. I'll go ahead and close that out. What I'll do is go to Arnold. We'll go to volume. Great. And then what we'll do is we'll jump into our attribute editor. We'll go to our file name. We'll go to any one of these. So I'm just going to go back and go to that one that we've just exported out. So we'll do chapter 5 test to Maya. We'll load that up. Using the file name attribute right there. We'll notice that we get a little box. We can't really see it right now, but as soon as we start rendering, we'll see it. We're going to need a light, so I'll just go to lights, area light, and we'll just go ahead and move this to the side and move that up. Cool. So from there, we'll do Arnold render view. We'll just go ahead and hit render. And you notice that we're getting something, but it looks pretty weird. What we're actually seeing is the voxels. They're just coming out with solid color because we haven't actually told it. We haven't actually given it a shader yet. So we'll go to Windows. We'll go to Node Editor. And then what we'll do is we'll type in tab AI standard volume. And this is going to be the shader that we're going to use. I'm going to go ahead and dock this. Down here. So we'll go ahead and select that. We'll go ahead and right click and do assign to material. I will hit play, see what we're getting. And we'll notice that, okay, the kind of self-illuminated voxels are away, but now we can't see anything. Right now, the light that we have currently, we need to just expose this up. Cool, and now we're starting to see something. Great, so from here what we'll do is we'll take a look at a Redshift setup. So I'll go ahead and save this file out for you guys. I'll do file save as, and I'll just go ahead and label it chapter 12, volumes. We'll just label this Arnold setup. Cool. So to set up with Redshift, I'm just going to go to File, New Scene. And then we'll just make sure that we have Redshift loaded if you don't already have this. Redshift is a third-party renderer, so it might not be installed if you don't have it installed. We'll just go to Plugin Manager, and it's going to be the very top one, Redshift for Maya, and just make sure that's loaded. To set this up, we'll go to Redshift, and we'll go to Volume, and then what we'll do is we'll do Create Redshift Volume with Material. And then we'll just select the box right there. We'll go to File Name. We'll go ahead and load this up. So I'll navigate to that. We'll navigate to our Houdini volume. We'll go to Geo. We'll do Chapter 5, Test to Maya. And then from there, we'll bring in a light. We'll do Redshift Physical Light. I'll go ahead and move this over. And then, of course, with Redshift, we have to do a volume contribution scale on the light itself, or else it won't be affecting. From there, we'll do Redshift Render View. I'll go ahead and hit play to render. And to be able to see this, I'm just going to bump up exposure. And after bumping up the exposure, what we have to do is go to our volume. Go to our volume, go to a scatter, and we'll type in density. So that's the same attribute that we're working with inside of Houdini. So we'll hit play. So we got to go just a little bit lower on, on this exposure. Cool. So that is a basic volume setup for Redshift. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a little bit more complicated example. We're going to set up the fire. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and replace this with the campfire VDB. So we'll just go ahead and just open. This will update. And the first thing that we'll notice is that we're not going to be getting the actual fire emission. So if we go to the RS volume, what we'll do is we'll go down to emission channel. And there's two different attributes that we can use for this. We can either use heat or temperature. They'll both give us that illuminant. I'm going to use heat though for this because it's going to be a normalized value, or a value that's a little bit easier to work with. And from here, what we'll do is we'll just change this to an orange, just like we were doing inside of Houdini. And then what we're going to do is do a ramp like this. So same thing that we were doing inside of Houdini, with just kind of tiling this ramp. And this is what this is going to do, is give it some more detail. So instead of looking so low res, it'll be a little bit more higher res. Cool. And if we want to see it a little bit more, we can just boost up that scale. So 5, 10. So we're getting that really detailed fire look right now. And from there, what we're going to do is just set up our lookup table. So right now it's getting really clipped. And with our orange, we're going to want to soft clip that so it turns a little bit. It's already turning yellow, but it'll look a little bit nicer this way. So we'll do linear in our color options, and then we'll go down to LUTs, and then we'll just choose any of these lookup tables. But before we actually do that, we'll need to convert to log space, and then apply one of these LUTs. Cool. So I'll go ahead and save this out for you guys. We'll do save as, and then we'll do chapter 12, and then Redshift setup.